increase the volume a bit. Okay, so let me know whenever it's ready, then I'll start.
Yeah, you may start, bro.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. We are welcome to another Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. The topics are 4:18 and 4:19. Uh, so let's start with the prayers and then we'll read through the verses. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपद्गमनं श्रीवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपा साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः Hare Krishna, everyone. Let me share my screen and then we'll start reading the verse. Okay, so we are going to read two verses today because they are a little small. The content that I saw was a lot. So, anyways, we'll start with reading the verses and then we'll see. I will try to make it in time as much as possible. So, this is the first verse 4.4.18. अतस्तव तवोत्पन्नम् इदं कलेवरम् न धरायिष्य स्थितिकान्त गर्हिणा जगतस्य मोहाद् दीपितुषम् अन्धसो जगुत् जगुत्पित्सयोस् धरणं प्रचक्षते. Synonyms. Atah, therefore, tava, from you, utpannam, received, idam, this, kalevaram, body, nadharayisye, nadharayisye, I shall not bear, sitikanta garhinah, who have blasphemed Lord Shiva, jagadhasya, which has been eaten, mohat, by mistake, he, because, vishuddhim, the purification, andhasa, of food, jugu pitasya, poisonous, udharanam, vomit, udaharan, vomiting, prachakshate, declare. Translation. So, translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, La Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Therefore, I shall no longer bear this unworthy body which has been received from you who have blasphemed Lord Shiva. If someone has taken food which is poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. Purport. Since Sati was the representation of the external potency of the Lord, it was in her power to vanquish many universes, including many dakshas. But in order to save her husband from the charge that he employed his wife, Sati, to kill Daksha because he could not do so due to his inferior position, she decided to give up her body. Let's read the other one as well, and then we'll try to make some sense out of this. The next verse is 4:19. न वेदवदान् अनुवर्तते मतिः स एव लोका रमतो महामुनेः यथा गतिर्देवमनुष्योः पृथक् स एव धर्मेण परं क्षिपेत् स्थितः न वेदवादानुवर्तते मतिः स्व एव लोके रमतो महामुनिः यथा गतिर्देव मनुष्यः पृथक् स्व एव धर्मेण परं क्षिपेत् स्थितः. Synonyms: na, not. Vedavadan, rules and regulations of the Vedas. Anuvartate, follow. Mati, the mind. Sway, in his own. Eva, certainly. Loke, in the self. Ramatah, enjoying. Mahamuneh, of elevated transcendentalists. Yatha, as. Gati, the way. Deva Manusyoho, of the men and the demigods. Prithak, separately. Sway, in your own. Eva, alone. Dharme, occupational duty. Na, not. Param, another. Shipet, should criticize. Sthitata, being situated. Translation: it is better to execute one's own occupational duty than to criticize others. Elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas since they do not need to follow them, just as the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. Purport: the behavior of the most elevated transcendentalist and that of the most fallen conditioned soul appears to be the same. The elevated transcendentalist can surpass all the regulations of the Vedas, just as the demigods traveling in space surpass all the jungles and rocks on the surface of the globe. Although a common man who has no such ability to travel in space has to face all those impediments. Although the most dear Lord Shiva appears not to observe all the rules and regulations of the Vedas, he is not affected by such disobedience. But a common man who wants to imitate Lord Shiva is mistaken. A common man must observe all the rules and regulations of the Vedas, which a person who is in the transcendental position does not need to observe. Daksha found fault with Lord Shiva for not observing all the strict rules and regulations of the Vedas, but Sati asserted that he had no need to observe such rules. It is said that for one who is powerful like the sun or the fire, there is no consideration of purity or impurity. The sunshine can sterile an impure place, whereas if someone were to pass such a place, he would be affected. One should not try to imitate Lord Shiva. Rather, one should strictly follow one's prescribed occupational duties. One should never vilify a great personality like Lord Shiva. So very powerful. One minute, let me. Okay, so very, very profound for us uh, as to what is being spoken in these two verses. So I'll try to speak whatever little I could understand from this in preparation of the class. And if there is anything good, then it comes from all my teachers. And if there is any mistake, then please feel free to correct. Okay, so in the first verse that we saw, right, uh, the talk was that Devi Sati wanted to give up her own body because she thought that, you know, uh, there was a logic behind the decision. She did not want, uh, because Daksha had already insulted Lord Shiva, she did not want him to blame uh, Devi Sati for saying that because Lord Shiva could not uh, destroy Daksha, he was inferior to Daksha. That is why he sent his wife, Devi Sati, who was Daksha's daughter. But he did not want that to happen. Uh, so there are many examples where people give up their own body. They used to give up their own bodies, voluntarily. Uh, and they in those times, uh, when the history that we read, uh, it shows so many things. For example, body is there, but then there are people were not very attached to the body, and we should not be too attached, though it is a source, it's a vessel for doing everything that we do. uh, but then, because Devi Sati and the people who used to be in those days, they used to have the power. And Devi Sati was very powerful because she was like the verse and the translation and the purport says she was the external potency of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is, responsible for annihilation and destruction of the universes. Uh, so she had a lot of power. She could have decided, she could have very easily destroyed many universes. But because she wanted to protect Lord Shiva's reputation, so she said, okay, I'll give my own body. And then she kind of, uh, she already made that decision and she chose to give up her life, the body that time. There are many examples of that. So one example that comes to mind is when Maharaj Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. So when Vidur came to them after the war, they were still in the palace, and he told them that why are you still living in this palace like a dog, living on the charity of Bhim who killed all your 100 sons. You should get out of this place immediately. So then they left the palace, but then Maharaj Dhritarashtra, because he had a lot of power, spiritual power in that sense, though his mind at that time was too attached to his son, and that is why he did all of that. He went to the forest and with the power of yoga, he burnt his own body. And then Maharani Gandhari, she also entered the same flames, and she also gave up body. So there's example of how people were, how powerful they were, and how they could, destroy their bodies by power of yoga and many other things. Uh, so it's the body essentially is like a vehicle for performing uh, the tasks that we are supposed to, but it wears over a period of time. It grows, it's person is born, then it grows, then decline happens, and finally the death comes. It's the cycle that the body takes. uh, Eyesight, when we start growing older, the eyesights, they become weaker, the strength becomes lesser. So all these things happen. So the key thing is that we have to understand that while the body is there, we have to be engaged in the service to the Lord. That is why the body is. Uh, so this is what is coming from this. And then we continue to the next verse, 19, right? Uh, so there is a very profound understanding which has been given here. It says that people have to follow their own dharma. So we have our varnashram dharma based on our own position. Uh, so we have to do our own duty or our own swadharma. You know, we looking at somebody else, we start following their dharma, start doing things that are relevant for them, thinking that they are as good for us, may not always be correct. And that is what is being said here. That the example given is of devatas. So even munis or even sages, right? They used to travel at the speed of mind. Uh, they were not bound by any rules or regulations. They used to, they could travel wherever they want. They had their own, uh, prescribed duties given in the Vedas. But then, because if somebody reaches that level of devotion and, what do you call bhakti? Bhakti is the right word. Then they are free from those Vedic responsibilities and duties. But before that, uh, we have to follow our responsibilities. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while he was the Lord, he also did Shraddh ceremony of his dad, his father. Uh, so, so examples are given. It's more to enlighten us, remind us that while we have our responsibilities and roles and duties. Just because we are on the path of bhakti does not mean we are free from all of that. We are moving towards that, but then that happens only when we get there. Uh, Gradual. Uh, there are so many things which can come in, but then and the discussion could go on and on. There is this aspect of karma and the karma fal, how it comes to people and how. Oh, so the prarabdha karma always remains, but then the kriyaman, the one which is in action, depending upon what we are doing, that stops accumulating when somebody gets into bhakti. But then the prarabdha is still there. But anyway, that is a different discussion altogether, very big topic. Uh, so in this verse, coming back to it, so there are examples given of how to compare ourselves. Sometimes uh, devatas and humans compare each other, but it's not right because they are not bound by Vedic uh, rules and regulations, but we humans are. So here the example given is that Daksha, he criticized Lord Shiva that he is not following rules and regulations and Vedic rituals. But then Devi Sati is again saying that Lord Shiva is beyond all of this. There was a very big series that His Holiness Ramabad Maharaj also did on the position of Lord Shiva. If you get time, right? Maybe listen to one of those recordings. There is a series of 5, 6 sessions, lectures. It highlights the position of Lord Shiva. Sometimes we, being in bhakti, we go and we kind of start disrespecting demigods and devatas. Uh, we have to be respectful, uh, understanding that our position is different and their position is different. Uh, Only when somebody reaches that stage of pure bhakti, that is when you become free from the Vedic rituals and in a position where we can avoid or we don't need to follow them. Uh, and then again, there are many examples like Lord Shiva drank poison. These are all argument or understanding kind of discussions. When the poison halahal came out from the churning of the ocean between Devatas and Daityas, Lord Shiva drank poison. But then if we take him to the level of human, then none of the humans or even devatas would be able to drink that halahal and be able to survive. But he just kept it in his throat. That is why he became Nilkant. So, so the overall summary here is that we have to stick to our prescribed varnashram duties. We have to do our swadharma, and then we have to continue progressing, doing our efforts towards bhakti. It's not easy. There are so many distractions, so many things around us which will pull us away. But then we have to keep getting into that mode where we go back, we reflect, and then we come back with more focus, more recharged energy, so that we can focus more on a bhakti process while doing our Swadharma. And I'm sure uh, that is how most of you feel, and it's not anything new that I'm saying. It's been there, and we have had these discussions through many lectures, many sessions, many classes. So this is essentially the summary that I could understand from these two verses. So if anyone has any other thoughts, feel free to share. We have about 7 minutes. Um, so we can take any discussions that we have. Otherwise, we'll close the class. Uh, if anyone has any thoughts, probably this is the time. Um, okay. So what we'll do is we'll close the class for today. Uh, and yeah, leave it to reflect. And these kind of sessions, they kind of give me personally an opportunity to go back, read some of those things, uh, pick up from some sources, read through, reflect, understand, brings me back into focusing a little more on this. So with this, we'll close the class for today. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।